Hello to everyone in the Holy Trinity Greek Orthodox Cathedral community and all of our friends. This is Father Jonathan. I hope you're doing well. Unfortunately, as we mentioned before, we are having some technical difficulties with our audio-visual recordings, and so we will be presenting the next several reflections with audio recordings only. Please be patient with us as we figure out what the situation is and update our audio-visual equipment as necessary, so that we can present to you video reflections again with a little bit more detail in them. Without any further ado, I wanted to begin a new series of reflections, this time on a topic that we've discussed in a different way already. This is a conversation about the Psalms, the book of Psalms. But I wanted to make it a little bit more practical for each and every one of us as we think about precisely what the Psalms are in the context of our worship. Because if we haven't noticed already, being at the church frequently, the Psalms are read and or chanted in all of the services. They're like the skeleton, the backbone of the services. Everything is built upon them. So what we will do in this series of reflections is go from the beginning of the liturgical day, the very first service of the day, which is actually in the evening, Vespers, and talk about all of the psalms that we will hear throughout the services. Some of the services will have unique psalms that really speak to the time of day or the thing that's being remembered at that time of day. Others are present at all of them, like Psalm 50 is read in most of the services. Why is that? Why is that psalm so significant? Why is it so meaningful? And why has the church in her wisdom thought that it was worthwhile for us to be saying it or chanting it or reading it at all of the services where we do? But before we do that, I wanted to return to a topic that I addressed a few months ago at the beginning of the pandemic about why, as Orthodox Christians, we need to be in the habit of reading the Psalter. And this will set us on a good path as we begin to reflect on the liturgical usage of the Psalms. Without any further ado, I turn it over to me from a few months ago. Have a beautiful day. I want to continue this morning reflection that I'll be doing each day at 7 a.m. And I wanted to take a break from the reading of the Psalms to talk a little bit about the Psalms themselves, because I think it's important for us as we go through these times to really understand just how powerful and how important the Psalms are in the life of the church, and how they can be a powerful tool in our own spiritual lives, especially in times of difficulty. The Psalms, the Psalter, the book of Psalms in the Old Testament has been called the prayer book of the church. And if you ever go to services and you've read through the Psalms, you'll realize that so much of our services, the verses, the prayers, are made up of portions of Psalms. We also recite entire Psalms at most services. And so it's really an indication of the centrality of the book of Psalms in the life of the church. And I've heard people say that sometimes they find it difficult to get in the habit of praying. They don't have the words. And I think that's an area where the Psalter can really help people. If we don't have words, or we find ourselves feeling awkward or uncertain about what we might want to say, how do we call out to God and ask for what we need? The Psalter can give us not only beautiful poetic words, but words that really speak to the depth, speak from the depth of the human experience. There are psalms of thanksgiving and psalms of sorrow and feeling despair and feeling like there's nothing going right and we're surrounded on all sides and we are just in desperate need of God. And so as you're considering how we might pray, how we might utilize our time, which is a little bit more at home these days, a little bit more time a little more downtime than we're used to, it might be a worthwhile practice to open up your Bibles, open up to the Psalter, the book of Psalms, and start reading some of them. Find ones that speak to you. Find ones that seem to give voice to your own experience and pray them. Don't just read them, don't just look at them, but pray them. Let the words of the Psalter become your own words. And in doing this, we will find that not only will our lives be transformed through the practice, that ongoing habit of prayer, but perhaps we might find that the prayers that we are offering to God begin to be answered, sometimes in ways that we don't even expect. I hope this was edifying. I hope that you're all are taking in these messages from all of the priests as we give them to you, and hopefully finding ways to help them to apply them in your day-to-day lives, especially during these times. Again, we're praying for you. We're thinking of you. We're here for you. If you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. We love you so much. God bless you. Have a beautiful day.